first thing I want to talk about is cancer in terms of what is it. Cancer is your own cells. No one put it in there. It's not a infection. It's not a fungus. It's not a parasite. It's not heavy metals. Those are all contributing factors to cancer, but a fungus itself is not, a cancer cell is not fungus, and heavy metals is not cancer. But cancer is your body accumulating something over time, change something, and now you develop these cells called cancer. Cancer is created by inflammation. So you have an inflammation that accumulated over time. Okay. It made cellular changes. The cells change. Okay. And now you're looking at what else is going on. Well, what else is going on is inflammation accumulated, cellular changes, and that's what created cancer. So we talk, the inflammation is actually simple. It's the ability to eliminate inflammation, and it's also the ability to detoxify, which is chemically alter inflammation and get rid of it. That we get. Now the cellular changes, what's going on there? Well, cells need 100% oxygen. Okay. When you lay at rest, everything you breathe in, all the oxygen goes into your body, and all the carbon dioxide gets absorbed by the blood, takes it to the lungs, and you breathe out carbon dioxide. So 100% oxygen. All the oxygen you breathe in goes straight into your cells. Okay? So that's another way to talk about it, is when you look at oxygen, is wow, that's when you exercise. It's very interesting. Your cells can drop to 70% oxygen. And when you're exercising like this, you're actually fermenting. Okay? We call that lactic acid. That's the achiness in your body. Muscle aches. Your body just doesn't feel so good. Fermentation, lactic acid. Okay? This is a key point because anything below 70% is a danger zone. Your body does not allow it to drop to 70% or lower. Okay? When they do that, you put on this SOS emergency response. So when it is 70%, okay, is to get it lower, we're just going to call 69%. Okay? At 69% and lower, now you're in the danger zone. This danger zone is what's causing us to be in the area where cells start to change in a bad way. This is just fermenting. There's no cell change. When you're a cell change, that means that the machinery, the cells themselves, are now having to be altered so that they can operate in a suboptimum condition. They're no longer experiencing oxygen. Okay? Now these cells are operating at 69%. So now they need to create the changes so they don't need to operate with that much oxygen. And that's cancer. And how do we know that? Because there's a doctor who actually looked at cancer and actually injected oxygen, or made the condition for that cell to now reverse the cancer by now making the cancer cell absorb more oxygen. when it absorbed more oxygen, that cancer died. That's very important because what we think of cancer now is something you have to kill because your body created it. But your body created it under conditions of inflammation that got accumulated in one area, not the whole body, just one part of the body. Cells changed into cancer cells. The simplicity of this is the doctor actually was able to create the condition and made the cells absorb more oxygen, a cancer cell absorb more oxygen, and now that cancer cell died without harming the other cells, because obviously the other cells won't die when you increase the oxygen level. They stay healthy. So with that in mind, we can maybe think about how to put oxygen back into a cell, into one area of the cell. One way to look at it is when you look at it in the condition of inflammation, what does it look like? Well, you have this one cell, or multiple cells, okay? These are all the conditions. Now they're being surrounded by all this inflammation. And we know that chronic inflammation means that your body doesn't have enough of the nutrients to remove all of it. So that ultimately leaves you in a condition where the things surround the cells, preventing oxygen to get into these cells. Not all the cells, just these cells. And if they drop below 69%, these cells become cancerous. Now, if you actually created a condition where these cells, more of these cells are involved, so this has now expanded and now you have hundreds of cells, thousands of cells, millions of cells in the same condition, you're just going to get more cancer cells. And cancer cells is just how many cells you have in this kind of condition where not enough oxygen got in. These cells have to go into a change. They're no longer operating in this area, they're in this area. So now you're talking about these cells. Now, another piece of information we get from the medical research is, what if you can get these oxygen back into the cells like a normal cell would get oxygen? Well, this doctor found that these cells will actually die. Okay. Of course, in the body, not in a test tube or a petri dish, you have to clear up all the inflammation around it first, create an opening so your body can continually flush oxygen into the area so that your body can kill these cells. And the more inflammation is around the body, the more work you have to do to break apart this barrier to allow oxygen in. You can tell because anything to do with inflammation, you can experience some tiredness, sugar craving, okay? You're always hungry for sugar of some sort. Carbohydrates, you can have some sweets, you feel tired, okay? You're not weak, okay? You don't have brain fog. Okay? You don't have digestion problems. Okay? Unless your cancer is in the pancreas or stomach. But if it's in the liver or the breast or somewhere else, you don't have these problems. These problems, if you have them, they're related to the chemotherapy that you received for your cancer. Now, when you're first diagnosed with cancer, this is probably all you expect. Okay? Some type of tiredness, some level of sugar craving, that's about it. Okay? That just tells you that there's accumulated inflammation somewhere. Oxygen is not getting into the area, so these cells have to make changes. Okay? The nice thing is, once you actually get oxygen into every one of these cells, every cell will die. And the condition, the inflammation condition that's around these cells will have to be eliminated as well, because this condition, even though you killed all of it with chemo or surgery, that condition is still there. And you will get cancer again eventually. And the sooner we catch the cancer, the sooner you get rid of the cells but not the condition here, you will end up getting cancer again eventually. It might not be exactly the same place. It might be somewhere else. But that's how alternative medicine will look at cancer, because there's only a 2% contribution that is DNA related. That means 98% is not DNA. Your chance of getting cancer is not based on your DNA, because everybody has a defective gene. But your body will compensate for it with diet. And that's why 98% incidences of cancer is environmental. You can say, well, it's smoking, it's alcohol, it's living in a pesticide community, it could be in a, I'm surrounded by people I don't like. Those are all true, but your diet was able to compensate for that problem, this problem, to keep you out of cancer. And these are medical research studies that have shown over and over again that cancer is not genetic, it's environmental. Now, when we say environmental, we actually say it's a dietary deficiency, because similar medical doctors in other parts of the country are saying there are foods that prevent cancer. Cancer prevention by eating these foods. So the doctors are saying, if you eat these foods here, you have a chance of improving this, compensating for this, and not getting this. That's been a very important key piece of information that's not being told to us when we go see our oncologist. But every medical researcher has already proven that it's only 98% chance of you getting cancer if the environment and the diet is not working to your benefit. And doing chemo, which is another toxic drug, will now kill these cells, but it will not improve the condition that led to cancer.